What's up, and welcome back to Sunnydale Live. Today's episode is The Witch. I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I doing that? Okay. Amy's first appearance. Half of the appearance of her mother, because she does come back. Little known trivia. That was cool. Little throwaway joke in a later episode. But yeah, so The Witch. This episode is the first episode that's kind of like, oh, now we're in our status quo. Now everything's kind of like what the normal progression of the show is going to be. It's definitely not as strong as the first two episodes, but it's still interesting. There's no master, so all of the big bad lore that was established in the first two episodes is kind of gone. We're not dealing with that. We're doing this whole other thing. And it's the first appearance of something other than vampires in the show. In this instance, being witches. Although a lot of the rules for witchcraft will be changed as things go on. Like Willow casts spells everywhere. She doesn't need a pentagram and all this stuff. Although to be fair, Willow doesn't really curse people, so maybe that's more part of the rules for the curses and not just spells in general. But it is kind of an interesting plot, about very much so about parents putting too much pressure on their children and children trying to live up to it. The obvious example in this episode is Amy's mother wanting her to be her, wanting her to be a carbon copy, and when Amy couldn't do it, her mother just stole her body. But the other parallel is Joyce. When I say I don't think Joyce is a great mother, that kind of starts in this episode. She's so uncaring about what's happening in Buffy's life, kind of very dismissive. But at least in this episode, she's still cognizant of that fact. She apologizes. She tries to make amends. She tries to find grounds to relate to Buffy. So there's still some redeeming qualities there. But it is kind of the start of Joyce doesn't want to be a mom. Like, it kind of comes across like that over and over again as the show progresses. I do think the start of this episode is genius. It's like Giles freaking out and talking about Buffy joining a cult and just giving away all sense of reason. And then we see Buffy in a cheer uniform, and Buffy's like, I'm just trying out for cheerleading. And he talks about cheerleading like it's the worst thing ever imagined. That part always makes me laugh. And it's there's kind of a sadness to it a little bit, that Buffy's trying so hard to reclaim what slaying is took from her. Her mom even says, oh, that's good that you're trying out for cheerleading. You know, you used to do that before you got in trouble, keep you out of trouble. And Buffy's like, I'm not in trouble. And her mom's like, yeah, which is just so dismissive and like, where's your faith in your kid? Like, you have no faith in her whatsoever? But it is, I don't know, that always bothers me. But there's something about like Buffy's trying to hold on to the woman she used to be before all this started, before her destiny caught hold of her. And it keeps slipping through her fingers. Like, she doesn't even make the team. She makes first alternate. Really second alternate, because during tryouts, the first person, who's probably the best, catches on fire. Which astounds me that this woman catches on fire while cheering, and the cheer squad's like, well, yesterday was unfortunate, but we gotta keep auditioning. And this is like, some kid just caught on fire, and you're still going forward. You're like, cheerleading is that important? It's more important than taking a beat because some kid just caught on fire? High school's brutal, man. What are you gonna do? You do start to you very much see the love triangle between Buffy. It's not even a love triangle, it's a love line between Willow, Xander, and Buffy. Buffy's oblivious and doesn't pay attention to any of it. Xander's in love with her and Willow's in love with him. And just how Buffy doesn't notice Xander's in love with her, Xander doesn't notice that Willow's in love with her. And even though I think Xander on some level kind of knows Buffy's not interested, Willow knows Xander's not interested, but they all just keep pursuing the person that they have a crush on. When you're young like that, you are kind of stupid. What are you gonna do? Young love. I do love that he gets her a bracelet though that says "yours always," and Buffy's like, "Yours always," and he's like, "It all came like that. I didn't have it. I didn't agree. That's just how it came. I'm sorry." Like, try to downplay it so much. It very much is like, oh god, man, just stop. Why'd you get her that? There's a level of painful cringiness to that. There are some things in this episode that I think are kind of cool, like potential Easter eggs for the future, but I don't know if it's just random happenstance. But Xander very clearly says, like, just drive a railroad spike through my head, which is how Spike got his name. Because they're like, his poetry makes me want to stab a railroad spike through my head. At the end of the episode, when everything's coming to an end, like Giles is trying to undo the spells and Amy's mom is trying to stop them, Willow confronts her, not to like attack her, but she's like, I can help you. That's so cool. And she's trying to find out about witchcraft. Kind of in a dismissive, joking way, but still, like the elements of Willow becoming a witch, there's kind of a hint to it right there, which I thought was kind of cool. Um, then there's also very early on when they first figure out it's a witch, and Buffy puts it all together by herself. Once again, coming to logical conclusions faster than everybody else. She figures out. Well, Giles comes up with a witch, but she figures out it's Amy. It has to do with cheerleading, and it's Amy. It has to be Amy. I mean, technically it's Amy's mother, but how are they supposed to know that Amy's mother switched their bodies? That's not something you would just leap to intrinsically. That's insane. Um, but once again, Buffy's like trying to draw a line between her and her friends. Like, I'm the Slayer. I do this. You guys stay here and stay out of trouble. And they're insistent, like, no, we're a part of this. We're gonna help you. And I'm telling you, that is the key that changes Buffy from every Slayer that came before or after. It's her network. It's a support system. And it's her friend's stubbornness to be like, no, we're gonna stay by your side. We're gonna do this together. You're not getting rid of us that easily. Um, they do spell. So Amy's mother keeps getting rid of witches. I think her name's Catherine. Catherine the Great is what they called her when she was a cheerleader. So Catherine keeps getting rid of cheerleaders. One girl's mouth vanishes. Cordelia goes blind while Drake taking her driving test. Spins out of control. It's insane. Right before that, though, Xander tried to ask out Buffy. She just completely ignored him, which was amazing. Like, I'll talk to you later. I don't even think she knew what he was doing because he was so like awkward and so she's just like, oh, I'm gonna see what's going on with Cordelia. She's acting weird. And just leaves Xander to mumble to himself. Um, I do think that if this show was made today, there would have been. You gotta keep in mind, Buffy was one of the early shows to do serialization. That wasn't really, it wasn't too common back then. Um, but I do think if this was made today, in the age of serialized television, there would have been some reference to Jesse. I mean, Willow and Xander grew up with this guy. He just turned into a vampire. Xander just killed him, and nothing. They don't even mention him. He just died. No mention at all. Um, it's it's a little wild. Um, I do love. There's a part where they're looking up books on witchcraft to try to see like who could be a witch, just to make sure it is Amy and to see what she could be potentially doing. And Xander's trying to talk about to it, and every witchcraft book is rented out by Xander so that he could look at the semi-nude engravings in the books. And it's just like, oh, you little perv, you little perv. Um, while they're checking to see back to like Easter eggs that are setting up things in the future, while they're trying to check on Amy to see if she's a witch, they created a little potion that will change color when exposed to her if she's done magic. And Willow's actually pretty good at chemistry, and she's not afraid of like touching dead animals and doing all that. All the things that would later go on to make her such a great witch is kind of started to be laid in this episode. Kind of makes me wonder if while they were making this episode, there was some thought to like maybe we'll make Willow go down that path. Um, it's not really till the end of season 2 that she starts. I mean, obviously the big spell she does is Angel getting the soul back at the end of season 2. But I wonder if they were thinking about that when they made this episode, like laying the groundwork in a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, as you go on, there's a whole bunch of little Easter eggs for things that happen later on. Like, there's a bunch of references to Dawn before she comes. So it's interesting. It's like, I wonder if that was something they were trying to do or if it's just a coincidence. I don't know, but it'd be interesting to find out. Like the Spike Railroad thing, with Xander going, "Oh, put a railroad spike through my head." I don't know if that really is a reference to Spike. It's cool. It's interesting. It's just kind of ironic that that's how Spike got his name. But we don't find out that's how Spike got his name until season 5. But Spike was only ever supposed to be in season 2. So if that was something, you think they would have stated it in season 2, not 3 years later? So it's probably just a coincidence, but it's still cool. Like it's cool how that lore works and how things that were said there pick up here and things like it's cool. I find stuff like that interesting. Um, it doesn't really mean anything, but I just think it's cool. I think it's interesting. I like finding connections like that. And then we get of course, after Buffy finds out that Amy's the witch, Amy curses her, but not like she's cursed everyone else, where it's just little things. Although covering the girl's mouth so that she no longer has a mouth, that doesn't seem little. Cordelia going blind, not very little either, but they weren't gonna die. But she puts this thing on Buffy where Buffy gets like real hyper and high and slips to her mom that she's a slayer because her mom's apologizing to her, trying to make amends, and Buffy's like, "It's okay, mom, you just don't get it. And there's certain things about being a vampire slayer you never understand." And her mom's like, "What?" And then Buffy's like, "Nothing," and this leaves, which is fine. It's a little funny throwaway joke. They already established in the last episode that people try to forget what is uncomfortable to them. But in season 6, fast forwarding to season 6. And I know there's no way they had this plan then. Or that plan now. However you want to say it. But Buffy tells Willow that she was in an insane asylum. In the episode Normal Again, where the demon affects her and she's like going back and forth from a reality where she's in an insane asylum and this is all delusions. And then the Buffy verse as we know it. And Buffy says that she was in an insane asylum before coming to Sunnydale. And because she thought she was a vampire slayer and her parents thought she was crazy. And so you would imagine if that's the case, and this is right after they moved to Sunnydale, this is a few weeks later, a week or two later, and Buffy says, "I'm a vampire slayer." Like even joking, kind of offhanded, but she was just in an asylum for that? You think her mother would have reacted more. You know what I mean? Like, you think there would have been some kind of reaction. I get, there's no way they had that later story I did in mind when they made this episode. But it does become a retroactive kind of continuity fuck up. The fault, of course, is not in this episode. It's in that later episode. It's not the early episode's jobs to figure out what the continuity is going to be 5 years later, 6 years later. It's later on to be like, well, what can we do that won't contradict what we've already done? But it is interesting. So many people love that episode normally. We'll talk about that when we get to season 6. But when Buffy comes down from her high, they go and confront Amy's mom. And then that's when Buffy figures out, oh, they've switched bodies. So they start trying to undo the spell. And I really do love the ending of this episode where they undo all the spell. Buffy's back to full power, and she's fighting the witch, and the witch is holding her own, shooting Buffy against the wall, using her powers, and then she does this spell, and Buffy just brings this mare down and reflects the spell on her and traps her. And you don't really say what happened to her after that, except you see, like, right in that moment, and then the episode kind of continues on, and they're like, I wonder what happens to her. Oh, we'll never see her again. And then you see in the trophy the mom's eyes behind the trophy and her. It's so weird, like, but it's cool. Like, it's like, damn, that's dark. So she was trying to trap Buffy in a little trophy. Like, that's insane. Could you imagine spending the rest of eternity trapped in a trophy, behind it, not able to talk, not able to move? But you could still see everything that's going on around you. And what happens after season 3 when the school explodes? Did she melt or did she survive? Is she now just a trophy laying there looking at ruins? And then Can she smell? Like when they cleared out the school to build a new one, did she go end up in the city dump and now she's smelling that garbage for the rest of eternity? I have to know what happens to Amy's mom after this. It blows my mind. What is she doing? Where's she at? So many questions. But this is a fun episode. It's not as dense. There's not as much setup in this episode as in the previous two. It is kind of what you would call now like a filler episode. It's very much what it is. But it does unintentionally, I think, set up some things. It sets up Amy, who becomes a big character. I mean, she's, spoiler alert, the big bad in season 8. Um, but she also has a lot to do later on, especially in season 6 with Willow's addiction and stuff like that. So all that's set up here. Um, and it does move forward the Buffy and Xander and Willow love line. Because a love triangle would mean Buffy's attracted to one of them, but she's not. So it's just a lie. And I think a lot of people, going back to what we talked about the other day, but like a lot of people give Xander a hard time, and it's like, oh, he chased after Buffy even though she's not interested. But no one pushes back on the Willow chased after Xander even though he wasn't interested. And it very much does seem like it's a vendetta against Xander. It's insane. It's a little bit insane the hatred he gets. Um, I do think there are parts of this fandom that's kind of toxic, unfortunately. It's just insane because I love this series and I would love to be more involved with Buffy Facebook groups and fandoms, but so much of it is just negative and people arguing and fighting and talking shit, and it's just like, why is there so much negativity? Can't we just come together and love on something like without always finding something to tear apart? I don't know. I don't think the internet's for me. I'm starting to come to that conclusion. I keep trying to do things on the internet, but I don't think the internet is designed for me. I don't think I'm its target audience because I just want to enjoy things and smile and not constantly be surrounded by negativity. But this episode ends on kind of a up note. Buffy's done with cheerleading. She has no desire to do it anymore. Cordelia's on the team. Amy's living with her dad and seemingly happy. Xander is still chasing Buffy. Willow's still chasing Xander. There's no Angel in this episode. The first episode without Angel. But it's a pretty good episode. Pretty good filler episode. And like I said, it unintentionally sets up stuff that they play on later. Like later episodes, later seasons will take things from this and kind of expand upon it, which is cool. It's one of the few filler episodes in season 1 that gets expanded on. Because a lot of filler episodes in the season leave things open for the future, which ironically this one doesn't. This one kind of wraps Amy up and you don't expect to ever see her again, and then she does pop up. Whereas other episodes like Darcy and stuff like that, you would imagine, oh, they're going to come back. They're going to do something with that. And then they never do. But this is one of the few episodes that actually does pick up the torch as we move forward on the show, which is kind of cool. But anyways, I'm Jonathan. This is Sunnydale Live. Give us legends.